Hi guys, there's a quick video on how to, well first what an ion is, and then how to calculate the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in an ion. Okay, so as you can see here, ions are atoms with the same number of protons, but they have different numbers of electrons. And because of that, remember protons are positive and electrons are different, so or negative, and so if the numbers are not equal, then the charge on the ion will be either positive or negative. Okay, it's going to be positive if you have more protons, it's going to be negative if you have more electrons. Calculating the number of protons, neutrons, electrons in an ion is very easy. So here is an example. I've got magnesium, and when you have these written, you know, from last lecture, you saw that usually the atomic number goes there, although it's not always given because you can find it in the periodic table. Mass number goes here, and I just made that one up, so there could be other kinds of magnesium, so I just put 25 there. And then if it's an ion, there'll be a charge somewhere. So right there, for this atom, that's the charge. Okay, and that tells you the charge overall on the atom. To calculate number of protons, neutrons, and electrons for this atom, you do some of the things we taught in the last lecture, which was, number of protons. You can look in the periodic table, or you can look right here. That's the number of protons, the atomic number. Now, usually the number of electrons is equal. We'll leave that for last, but in this case, it's not. If you want to find neutrons, remember this is the mass number here, and so to find number of neutrons, you take the mass number minus the atomic number. So 25 minus 12, that's going to be 13. And then the charge now tells you the plus 2 is just do the opposite. Plus 2 means you have 2 more protons and electrons. So if you want to find the number of electrons, you're essentially taking the number of protons and then subtracting 2. You do the opposite. So, why would I write minus there? So 12 minus 2 is 10. And the reason that you have this plus 2 charge is because, nailed it, because you have 2 more protons, 2 more of those guys than you do of that one. So overall the charge is plus 2. So that is how you calculate protons, neutrons, or electrons when you have a isotope like that. You can try one. I'll do one more. I'll do this chlorine one. And I'll write 35 here. And I'll write -1 there. And if you could tell me how many protons, neutrons, and electrons you have, that'd be super. Take a second, pause it, and write those numbers down. And see if you get what I get. Okay, now I didn't write the atomic number on here because you can look it up on your periodic table. Okay, you can find chlorine on the right hand side and find that its atomic number is 17, and so that's the number of protons. Now usually that's the number of neutrons and electrons too, but it's not in this case because this has a mass number of 35, so you take 35 minus 17 to find the number of neutrons. 35 minus 17 gives you a number of neutrons, which is 18. And then for electrons, you can see you've got a -1 right there. That's the overall charge on the atom. And so if you wanted to write how many electrons you have, you would have 1 more than protons. So you're essentially taking 1 plus 17, doing the opposite, right? So it says -1, but you really add 1. So it's 1 plus 17, and so you have 18 electrons in this guy. Hopefully you got that result. The other thing you can do is go the opposite direction, right? Is if I gave you, and you can pause this one and try it too, is if I gave you protons, neutrons, and electrons, could you write the element symbol correctly like I have in the above? So if I said I had 32 protons, 36 neutrons, and 28 electrons, could you write a symbol like that symbol there? Okay, could you write an isotope symbol? So take a second to see if you can. And for me, I'm going to go do it. It is element number 32. That's the protons. I mean, that's like, they identifies the element. So element 32, if you look in your periodic table, is germanium, and its element symbol is Ge. So there's a good start, okay? You could write a 32 here. You don't have to because it's assumed that you can find it in your periodic table. For a number of, the top number is the mass number, so you take protons plus neutrons. Remember, mass number equals protons plus neutrons. And so when you add those two together, you do 32 plus 36, and you're going to get 68 for your mass number. Finally, if you want to find the charge on this element, you would simply take your protons and subtract off your electrons. So the charge is 32 minus 68, or no, 32 minus 28, sorry. And There we go. And obviously 32 minus 28 is 4. It has to be positive 4, so you're at a plus 4 there for the charge. So the atomic symbol for that isotope and ion of germanium looks like that. So there you go, a quick primer on how to write symbols, notations when you have ions, what an ion is, and then also how to identify the symbols and write the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Always a pleasure working with you guys. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye.